Slavery, a term that echoes hauntingly through the corridors of history, is not just a story of human suffering and injustice, but also one of immense profits. It was a dark era that saw families, businesses, and banks amass fortunes on the backs of enslaved individuals, thereby shaping the economies of nations, notably America and Britain. Journey back to the historical landscape of the Americas and West Indies. The economic model here was a twisted one, fueled by the blood and sweat of enslaved individuals. Slavery, a cruel and inhumane practice, was the backbone of labor-intensive activities in these regions. The Western world saw industries flourish, their coffers filling with the dividends of slavery. The sugar industry sweetened the lives of the rich while leaving a bitter taste for the enslaved. Cotton, the white gold of the era, spun profits for the plantation owners, with every boll picked adding to their wealth. Deep within the earth, enslaved miners extracted the riches, their plight hidden under the glimmer of the precious metals. But the shadow of slavery stretched far beyond the borders of the Americas and Britain. It touched the distant shores of Australia, where a practice known as blackbirding took root. Indigenous islanders found themselves ensnared in conditions of servitude, their lives exploited by the families operating and owning plantations. It's essential to understand that these events, these gross injustices, aren't lost in the ancient past. They are relatively recent in the context of our economic history. The wealth accumulated from these practices has cascaded down generations, influencing the distribution of power and riches even today. In the next segment, we'll delve into the recompense owed for these brutal practices. But for now, let's sit with the understanding of the profits of slavery, a stark reminder of the price paid in human dignity for economic prosperity. As we delve deeper into the narrative of slavery, it becomes clear that the echoes of the past reverberate into the present. The concept of recompense owed to the descendants of slaves is a conversation that needs to be had. It's a discussion about the stark economic disparities that have been birthed from the cruel womb of slavery. These disparities aren't abstract concepts confined to the pages of history books. They are real, tangible, and they continue to shape the lives of millions. The wealth gap that exists today between the descendants of slaves and those of slave owners is a gaping chasm, a testament to the enduring impact of historical injustices. Yet there's a certain resistance to acknowledging these disparities, a resistance that often stems from right-wing media and those who identify as anti-wokesters. For them, the narrative of slavery and its profits is a closed chapter, a relic of the past that bears no influence on the present. The grand mansions, the manicured gardens, the wealth and power, they see them as the fruits of hard work and initiative, not the remnants of an exploitative system that plundered and profited from human lives. This resistance is further exemplified in the portrayal of inherited wealth and privilege, often spun into tales of self-made success. Take, for instance, Donald J. Trump. Despite being the son of a wealthy property developer and inheriting a fortune, he portrays himself as a self-made billionaire. But the truth is far from this narrative. His wealth, like that of many others, is rooted in a system that exploited the labor of enslaved individuals for profit. The idea of recompense isn't about dredging up the past for its own sake. It's about recognizing the economic legacies of slavery and addressing the vast wealth disparities it created. It's about acknowledging that the wealth accumulated from slavery didn't just disappear, it was passed down through generations, contributing to the economic inequalities we see today. So, as we continue to examine the profits of slavery, it's important to also consider the recompense owed. It's a conversation about justice, about righting historical wrongs, and about moving towards a future where the economic disparities of the past don't dictate the opportunities of the present. As we delve into the repercussions of slavery today, it's crucial to recognize that the lasting economic impacts of this dark era are still very much present. The wealth accumulated from the gruesome labor of enslaved people didn't vanish with the abolition of slavery. Rather, it was passed down through generations, contributing to the economic disparities we see today. The descendants of the enslaved often find themselves at an economic disadvantage, a consequence of the historical injustices of slavery. Consider this. The unpaid labor of millions of enslaved people spanning several centuries generated vast wealth for slave owners. This wealth was then passed down through generations, creating a cycle of inherited advantage that persists today. Meanwhile, those who were enslaved were left with nothing. Even after emancipation, systemic racism and discriminatory policies often prevented them from accumulating wealth. This has resulted in a racial wealth gap that persists to this day. The legacy of slavery, it seems, has cast a long shadow. In response to this grim reality, there have been calls for reparations and financial recompense for the descendants of slaves. Advocates argue that reparations could help to rectify the historical injustices of slavery, providing a means to address the economic disparities rooted in this brutal past. However, these calls for reparations have been met with resistance, often from those who have inherited wealth and privilege from the profits of slavery. They argue that the world has moved on, that the sins of the past should remain in the past. But can we truly move forward without addressing the injustices of our history? This resistance underscores the need for a greater understanding and acknowledgement of the economic history of slavery and its impacts on today's world. The story of slavery is not just a tale of human suffering and injustice, but also a narrative about wealth and economic power. It's a narrative that continues to shape our world in ways large and small. Therefore, it's crucial that we educate ourselves about the history of slavery and its lasting impacts. This isn't just about understanding the past, but about acknowledging how that past continues to influence the present. It's about recognizing the economic disparities rooted in this history and working towards a more equitable future. So take the time to learn about this history. Read about the experiences of the enslaved and the wealth generated from their labor. Understand the economic legacy of slavery and the ways it continues to shape our world. Only then can we begin to address the lasting repercussions of slavery and work towards a more just and equitable world.